Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media.
Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to the rugged and untamed backcountry of Yellowstone National Park, near where Columbine and Brimstone Creek parallel each other. Nestled among the steep hills and meandering creeks, this remote region boasts a dramatic landscape of rocky outcrops and dense timber. The climate here is a study in contrasts. Crisp, cool mornings often give way to warmer afternoons, with occasional sudden downpours that transform the terrain into a muddy maze. As you explore, you might notice towering lodgepole pines, graceful Engelmann spruces, and shimmering aspen trees. The forest floor is dotted with hardy shrubs, such as sagebrush, bitterbrush, and rabbitbrush, while berry patches of huckleberry, serviceberry, and chokecherry add bursts of color. The area is teeming with wildlife, featuring some of the largest herds of elk, thousands of mule deer and white-tailed deer, and hundreds of moose. The predators here remain the same caste from thousands of years ago, with bobcats, cougars, coyotes, wolves, black bears, and grizzly bears playing their villainous roles at any opportunity. On Monday, September 2nd, 2002, 43-year-old Tom Crosson was hiking along Brimstone Basin and enjoying the views of the southeast arm of Yellowstone Lake. He was a veterinarian from Massachusetts and was accompanied by his friend Nils Wygant, a New Hampshire software engineer. The two had ventured into the backcountry and were moderately prepared, having each packed a canister of bear spray. Given Tom was a veterinarian, he brought along a large first aid kit with some antibiotics. Both items would prove pivotal in the men's survival. The hiking buddies carefully planned the backcountry adventure and set out in the early morning. After being dropped off at the mouth of Columbine Creek, Tom and Nils hiked south for 3 miles and set up camp on the east shore of Yellowstone Lake's southeast arm, intending to stay for 4 nights. After rolling out their bedrolls in their tents, they finished dinner just in time to watch the sunset over the lake. The following day, on Monday morning, they continued their journey along an intermittent stream known as Brimstone Creek. The hiking was easy as the terrain was high elevation, but it was rolling with gentle climbs. On the other hand, the forest was thick in most places, with deadfall crisscrossing potential avenues, making navigation difficult. It was almost like the forest was guiding them to a certain point on the mountain while blocking routes with natural obstacles. By mid-morning, the men had burned off a bit of their curiosity and energy. The morning coffee had run its path through Tom's system, so he stepped a few yards away from Nils to answer nature's call. Within a few seconds, he heard an ominous sound like a fast wind and timber popping below him on the hill. Looking toward the sound, Tom could see a rather thin grizzly bear quickly picking her way toward the men through the log-strewn hillside, with a cub on each side and one more behind her. By the time Nils could see the sow, she was about 30 feet away and focused on the men. Tom stammered that the hikers had a grizzly on their hands, and she had cubs. Anxiously barking orders at Nils, Tom instructed him to hit the deck and not to run. Tom took a few panicked steps before regaining a bit of composure. Having only his fanny pack, he wrapped it around his neck, grateful for the meager protection it had to offer. His movement caught the sow's eyes, and she closed in on him in a furious blur of flying duff, chomping jaws, and thundering paws. Tom lay still and prone, hoping the sow would break off the charge, but the men had violated the most important rule of backcountry hiking: never allow yourself to get too close for comfort with a protective sow grizzly. She clamped her jaws onto his lower leg and tossed her head back and forth forcefully. The discombobulating effect on Tom was interrupted by the feeling of his fibula bone shattering. Hearing Tom's agonized screams, Nils pulled himself to his knees and grabbed for the bear spray on his belt. He knew his movement had caught the attention of the sow, and that she would be on him quickly. As she snapped her head in his direction, she took one step toward Nils, just as he released a brief orange cloud of repellent from his bear spray canister directly in her face. Scientists claim that a surprise noise or unexpected disruption can redirect a predator's aggression, and that is exactly what happened when the irritant contacted the sow's mucosal membranes of her nose, eyes, and throat. She spun on her heels and dashed back into the trees, with her 3 cubs following close behind her. With the sow having disappeared, Nils began assessing Tom's injuries. He could see 2 finger-sized gashes in Tom's calf muscle, just below his knee joint. Further assessment revealed that he couldn't move his lower leg due to nerve damage later revealed from the sow's jaws. Pictures of Tom's wounds would not pass YouTube guidelines, so I posted them on our Patreon link below. They're grim, but illustrate just how devastating a single bite from a grizzly can be. As Tom lay on his stomach, Nils fastened a bandage over the leg wounds. Knowing that they needed to get medical help as soon as possible, Nils helped Tom to his feet. Given his lower leg was limp due to nerve damage and his fibula being broken, Nils helped Tom limp for 3 miles back toward camp. Their path took them through thick tangles of fallen trees, slippery stream beds, and boggy meadows. After arriving near the lake shore, Nils went to work constructing a shelter for the men out of tree boughs and built a fire to keep Tom warm. They hoped the fire might be used to signal passing boats, as they had no other means to notify anyone of the attack. The next day, a scientist named Tiffany Potter was piloting a boat along the lake shore after completing some research on lynx in the area. She could see Nils and Tom along the shore, and they seemed to be in distress. Navigating closer, she listened as the men relayed the predicament they'd gone through and their need for assistance. Tiffany immediately radioed ahead to arrange an ambulance at the launch and loaded the men aboard. At the hospital in Jackson, Tom received numerous stitches to close the wounds to the back of his knee. His fibula would mend after several weeks of immobility and a cast. Tom would recover from his physical wounds quickly, but both men would struggle with mental trauma from the stress of the grizzly attack. As for the sow and her 3 cubs, after listening to the men recount the details of their encounter, the sow's actions were deemed defensive. She had either seen the men on the ridge or caught their scent on the breeze before deciding they posed a threat to her and her cubs. No action would be taken against any of the bears. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes, and the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. In the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, an estimated 700 grizzly bears are roaming the wilderness. Yellowstone National Park spans roughly 2.2 million acres, a testament to the vast, untamed wilderness where these encounters occur. With bears concentrated in specific habitats, the density roughly translates to about 1 grizzly bear per 13 square miles in high-density areas. In recent years, state records indicate that there have been around 20 documented bear attacks in Wyoming's wilderness, with fatal encounters being a rare but sobering reality, tallying up to 2 fatal incidents. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. Would a more immediate deployment of bear spray have prevented Tom's injuries, or was the close encounter simply too sudden to counter effectively? How much do human activities and off-trail explorations contribute to increasing dangerous encounters with wildlife like grizzly bears? In hindsight, could stricter adherence to park guidelines and improved awareness of environmental cues have altered the outcome of this attack? I'll gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.